Zeng Qingfeng accidentally traveled through Chang'an City, and after the system was loaded to 99%, it suddenly crashed, so he repeated the same day's life every day. In this tedious time of 10,000 years, he not only learned various skills such as piano, chess, calligraphy, painting, blowing, playing, and singing, but also achieved extremely high achievements. Even every household in Chang'an City had a clear understanding of their secrets. Until he met Empress Wu Meyer Group. 734085118 Keywords of the novel. I am trapped on the same day for 10,000 years without pop-ups. I am trapped on the same day for 10,000 years to download the complete text collection, and I am trapped on the same day for 10,000 years to read the latest chapters. Chapter 1. Welcome Collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Welcome Collection. The author is working hard to save the manuscript, and the babies they like will be collected and brought home first. We look forward to the future together. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Repeating on the same day for thousands of years. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Repeating on the same day for thousands of years. Chang'an City. In an inn, Zeng Qingfeng sat at the table chatting with a young nobleman. There's really nothing I don't know about the entire Chang'an City, no matter which family or household has a few people, what animals they keep, and whether it's male or female, I know it all. The noble young master has clear eyebrows and beautiful eyes, fair skin, and speaks very neutral words. You're just bragging. Why don't you say you knew 500 years ago and 1,000 years later? Hey, I may not know for hundreds of years, but I still have some confidence in predicting things within 12 hours. Zeng Qingfeng looked at the young master in front of him and couldn't help but chuckle inwardly. Little girl, brother still knows that you are Wu Meyer, the empress of the Tang dynasty. If it weren't for my brother's desire to take you down with his own abilities, where would he have to compromise with you? I traveled to Chang'an City and obtained a system, but when the system was loaded to 99%, it suddenly crashed. Afterwards, no matter what he did, even if he died and was killed, he would wake up from the dilapidated temple outside the next morning. But the skills learned are still there even when you wake up. So, in these 10,000 years, he not only perfected his skills in music, chess, calligraphy, painting, medicine, tea, and cooking, but also transformed himself from an ordinary person to a generation of masters through various means and little by little learning. The levels of cultivation are divided into postnatal, innate, spiritual, mystical, divine, venerable, great emperor, enlightenment, and nirvana. Each level is divided into 9 levels, and it is said that one can ascend to become an immortal. He doesn't have high qualifications, but over time, even a pig will become more complex. His strength has reached the early stage of enlightenment, but it will be difficult to improve afterwards. On the one hand, although he repeats it every day, he cannot leave too far away, and the conditions for obtaining martial arts and assisting in cultivation are limited. On the other hand, one's own qualifications are very poor, and it all depends on time accumulation to reach the current level. At the beginning of the Wudao realm, it sounded very powerful, but even in Chang'an City, he found 3 strong opponents who were also members of the Wudao realm. One is in the imperial palace, one is in the prime minister's mansion, and the other is in a dilapidated courtyard in Chang'an City. He has also fought against these 3 masters in the realm of enlightenment, and has not gained any advantage. He has even been killed many times. Recently, Zeng Qingfeng has been pretending to meet Wu Meyer every day, first gaining trust and then arousing admiration. Wu Meyer, unaware of her identity, was discovered by Zeng Qingfeng. She said expressionlessly, "Judging from your young age, you must be trying to bluff around, eat and drink, right? I knew you wouldn't believe it. Look, 4 guests from the western regions are about to come in, 3 men and 1 woman. The woman is beautiful but has a bad temper. One tall person will argue with the waiter and slap him." Zeng Qingfeng said this and rudely brought Wu Meyer's wine jug over, filling himself with a glass. Wu Meyer furrowed her brows and slightly twitched the corner of her mouth before shaking her head and saying, How could I believe you, this scammer? Zier. Smash. Zeng Qingfeng drank the wine in his glass with satisfaction and then reached out to count down. I knew you didn't believe it, just look at it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. As the word one finished speaking, several people from the western regions appeared at the door dressed in strange clothes. 3 men and 1 woman, exactly as Zeng Qingfeng said. Wu Meyer suddenly widened her eyes and looked at the 4 people from the western regions, then at Zeng Qingfeng. It took her a long time to utter a sentence. Are you guys in the same group? Hey, whatever you say. Zeng Qingfeng was too lazy to explain, but at that moment the waiter walked over and nodded and said, For guests, we are fully booked now. Could you please wait a moment? A man from the western regions, with short hair and a strong appearance, spoke rudely. We are distinguished guests from the western regions invited by the Tang dynasty. Drinking tea and resting here looks up to you. How dare you make us wait? Sir, we can't drive people away. Papa the man from the western regions slapped the waiter and flew him out. Wu Meyer was about to get up when she saw this, but was held down by Zeng Qingfeng and said. Alright, don't get excited. The official will be here soon. However, the official won't dare to catch them, but they will take them away. He just finished speaking, and as expected, there were more than 10 officials rushing outside. It should have been a guest who happened to be patrolling nearby and was scared out, attracting them. What's going on? A leading official looked at the wailing shop assistant on the ground and the frightened guests around, and couldn't help but ask. The woman from the western region spoke up. Just now was just a misunderstanding, we are willing to compensate. After she finished speaking, she took out a gold ingot from her body and threw it to the shopkeeper. Although the shopkeeper was slapped, he still happily took a bite of the large gold ingot in his hand. The official's face changed for a moment, and then he said to the woman from the western regions. Are you several envoys of the Persian state? Our lord happens to want to get to know you, why don't you come with us and have a cup of tea? Okay, I'll give you this face. After the Persian woman finished speaking, she waved her hand and left with 3 men from the western regions. At this moment, Wu Meyer's shock on her face could no longer be concealed. She no longer suspected that Zeng Qingfeng was with these few people. Did you really calculate it? Of course. Zeng Qingfeng said, very impolitely picking up the chopsticks and enjoying the dishes ordered by Wu Meyer. Wu Meyer no longer cared about his impolite behavior at this moment. She frowned and said. Are you really so divine? If I want to know which officials in Chang'an City are corrupt, can you figure it out? Of course I know. Zeng Qingfeng said confidently, not to mention which officials are corrupt, I have a clear understanding of who colludes with which national forces. In the entire city of Chang'an, there are only 3 officials who are truly loyal to the Tang dynasty. Which 3? At this moment, Wu Meyer was completely in a passive position. She was curious and wished she could bring Zeng Qingfeng back to the palace to inquire carefully. But Zeng Qingfeng played a trick and said. These are not urgent. Peeping at the secrets of the heavens will ruin one's life. I am young and have not yet married or had children. How can I casually reveal the secrets of the heavens? He's not here to pretend, but to pick up girls. Who are you fooling? Of course it's the Empress Wu Meyer in front of me. Upon hearing this, Wu Meyer thought for a moment and said. As long as you tell me which ones are loyal and which ones are treacherous, I can give you generous rewards, including women, money, cultivation resources, and anything you want. Zeng Qingfeng put down his glass and then looked at Wu Meyer, saying. What if I want you? End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Promise to be my woman. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Promise to be my woman. Upon hearing these words, Wu Meyer suddenly became angry and stood up abruptly, asking. Bold. Since you can calculate, do you know my identity? What do you know? Zeng Qingfeng didn't panic at all. He dipped his finger into the wine and then drew a horizontal line in front of Wu Meyer. Wu Meyer's face slightly changed when she saw this horizontal line, and then she looked at him in disbelief and asked. Since you know my identity and dare to talk to me like this, aren't you afraid that I'll find someone to arrest you? Of course not. Zeng Qingfeng refilled his drink and calmly said, there is no secret in the entire Chang'an City that I don't know. As long as I don't want to say it, it's useless for you to torture me severely. You. Wu Meyer was a bit angry, but Zeng Qingfeng's performance was indeed too calm, leaving her feeling at a loss. Zeng Qingfeng saw Wu Meyer hesitating, so he continued to say. If you still don't believe it, then I'll give you another secret. There are 3 masters of enlightenment in Chang'an City, one in the imperial palace, one in the prime minister's mansion, and the last one is an elderly man who lives alone without any relatives, known as Zhang Hunbei. If you want to deal with the one in the prime minister's mansion, it's best to win over Zhang Hunbei. Upon hearing these words, Wu Meyer's face changed once again. She is certainly aware of the fact that there are experts in the realm of enlightenment in the palace, but she really doesn't know about the fact that there are 2 experts in the realm of enlightenment in Zai Xiangfu and Chang'an City. It seems like it's not hot enough, Zeng Qingfeng continued. Besides the internal concern of the Prime Minister's mansion, there were also many foreign troubles in the Tang dynasty. Wait. Wu Meyer quickly interrupted Zeng Qingfeng and carefully looked around. Seeing that no one was paying attention to their table, she lowered her voice and said. Since you know my identity, can you come back with me to have a detailed discussion? If you promise to be my woman, I will go back with you. Zeng Qingfeng revealed his purpose and pretended to be mischievous for a long time, wasn't it just for this moment? Anyway, I can repeat it every day. At this time, no matter how straightforward I speak, I am not afraid. Even if I am killed, I won't have any trouble waking up tomorrow. If it's using strength, he can also take down Wu Meyer, after all, she came out alone now. It's still possible to subdue her with Zeng Qingfeng's strength and do something about it. But Zeng Qingfeng thought it was impossible to challenge, and no matter how proud Wu Meyer was, she had to rely on her abilities to handle him. Including today, he has been experimenting for several months, a total of hundreds of times, but all have failed. It's too difficult to sleep until Wu Meyer in just one day. Well, we can't blame Zeng Qingfeng for being sleazy and shameless. It's just that his daily life is too lonely. Not finding such fun, he doesn't know when it will end. Wu Meyer looked at Zeng Qingfeng with a gloomy expression, suddenly feeling that this guy, besides being somewhat shameless, was also good-looking. It seems that the inheritance of the Tang dynasty will be cut off when it comes to her, perhaps finding a husband is not impossible. Besides, this kid looks a bit slippery. He also seems to have some skills. Thinking of this, Wu Meyer suddenly showed a charming smile and sat down again, nodding and saying. Okay. As long as you don't deceive me, I will issue an edict tomorrow, and from now on you will be the emperor. Tomorrow. Zeng Qingfeng frowned. His playful demeanor today did indeed impress Wu Meyer, but tomorrow's time was repeated and he still couldn't sleep. Cough, he still couldn't achieve his goal. No way. We still need to force Wu Meyer one more time. Thinking of this, he sighed and said. I have already shown enough sincerity, but I didn't expect you to wait for tomorrow. So you still don't believe me, or you just want to deceive me into presenting a list of loyal and treacherous officials first? No, I can really promise you. Wu Meyer felt wronged and was both anxious and angry. Can't this guy trust his character? If he really guesses his identity and dares to speak like this, he certainly has some real skills. And he doesn't know that June has no jokes. Zeng Qingfeng still shook his head like a tambourine, with no hint of concession in his mouth. No need to say more. If you really have sincerity, will you do it in the bridal chamber at night? If you don't do it, you'll get married. Who do you love? You. Wu Meyer's face turned pale with anger. Isn't this guy too bold? On the first day of getting to know each other, I'm going to have sex with myself. No matter how capable I am, I can't just promise him casually. Zeng Qingfeng continued to drink and said nonchalantly, of course, I know you're still hesitating, and even doubting if I was lucky enough just now, or if I collaborated with others to deceive you. As we are about to become married, I'll give you another secret. Upon hearing this, Wu Meyer quickly raised her hand and set up a barrier, making the people around her unable to hear their conversation. Speak up. There's no way, since it's a secret and Zeng Qingfeng wants to persuade her, it can't be a small matter. Zeng Qingfeng pretended not to know that the barrier had been set up. He leaned his body in front of Wu Meyer until he smelled the fragrance on her body. Then he took a deep breath and said, very intoxicated. Do you still remember those 4 envoys from the western regions just now? Actually, that woman is a princess from the western regions. The purpose of coming to the Tang dynasty this time is not simple. The person who received them has already been bribed. I don't know how much information and culture from the Tang dynasty will be taken away by them. What? Princess of the western regions. Wu Meyer's face immediately darkened. She thought she was just an ordinary envoy, so she casually arranged for someone to meet her. After all, the Tang dynasty had a strong national power and did not even consider the envoys of small neighboring countries in their eyes. If the royal family of a small country comes, she can show her great country demeanor at first sight, but where does the envoy of a small country need her to personally greet them? Unexpectedly, the envoy arranged by oneself was also bribed. She wished to immediately order the arrest of these people, but Zeng Qingfeng confidently said. Don't worry, they plan to stay in Chang'an City for 3 days, and you're not in a hurry for this moment or two. Wait until they collect enough things before catching them, and there will be more evidence, won't there? How did you know they were going to stay in Chang'an City for 3 days? At this moment, Wu Meyer felt more and more that Zeng Qingfeng was a bit magical, as if there was really nothing he didn't know. Zeng Qingfeng secretly thought to himself, don't worry about knowing that they will be staying in Chang'an for 3 days. Where are the moles on the princess of the western regions? I am Yemeni Qing. In these 10,000 years, which woman with some beauty has he never slept with? The difference is only between using strength or relying on skills to collude. The princess of the western regions was already open, and her purpose in coming to the Tang dynasty was not pure. As long as she showed some skills, the woman would happily go with him for a pair sport. During this period, Zeng Qingfeng even resorted to violence, arresting her to a deserted place and torturing her severely, revealing many secrets. At this moment, when asked by Wu Meyer, he naturally began to pretend to be mischievous again. Nonsense, as I just said, there is no secret in Chang'an City that I don't know. Humph. Wu Meyer still has some disbelief, but it's better to believe in the existence of spies than to believe in their absence. She stood up and said, say one more thing I can prove right away, I'll be with you tonight. The bridal chamber. Wu Meyer is indeed not a fuel-efficient lamp, and she still wants to take advantage of it at this time. Zeng Qingfeng chuckled inwardly. What if I tell you all the secrets? Tomorrow is not the beginning of everything. But he still frowned and pretended to be in a difficult situation, saying. Since that's the case, I'll give you another secret. The Duke Chow next to you and the 2 palace maids who serve you in bed are all from the Prime Minister. If you don't believe them, they will be severely tortured immediately. These 3 people are greedy for life and afraid of death. If you scare them a little, they will do anything. What? Chow Gonggang is someone who has served my father's emperor before, how could it be possible? Wu Meyer was a bit skeptical, but Zeng Qingfeng had already made it very clear. She could only swallow the remaining words back into her stomach, then remove the barrier and throw an ingot of silver on the table. Let's go back to the palace with me. After Wu Meyer finished speaking, she grabbed Zeng Qingfeng's shoulder and disappeared into the inn. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Formal System Activation. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 4 Formal System Activation Imperial Palace. In the Imperial Study. Wu Meier, who had changed into a yellow robe, sat upright, while Chao Gonggang and the two palace maids were trembling and all were summoned. I treat you very well. How dare you take it from within? Someone, drag me out and chop me off. Wu Meier was furious, and Chao Gonggang and the two palace maids were so frightened that they quickly kowtowed and begged for mercy. Upon seeing this, Zeng Qingfeng quickly stopped and said, Your Majesty, killing these two palace maids is fine, but Chao Gonggang will keep it for now. Oh. At this moment, Wu Meier had a strong trust in Zeng Qingfeng. Seeing him stop her, she knew there must be a better way, so she looked at Zeng Qingfeng. Zeng Qingfeng coughed twice, and Wu Meier quickly set up a barrier to prevent Chao Gonggang and the two palace maids from hearing their conversation. Meier, Grandpa Chao is the Prime Minister's eyeliner. If you move Grandpa Chao, the Prime Minister will know that the matter is exposed and will not revolt immediately. That's up to you. Don't kill yet. Zeng Qingfeng said with a smile, Don't you have a poison that controls people on you? Is it called San Jia San or something? Give him one, and as long as he is afraid of death, he won't dare to play tricks. You can still design a plan for him to pass the message and deceive the Prime Minister into coming in. Wait. How do you know I have 3 tribulations scattered? At this moment, Wu Meier was completely speechless. Although the royal family had many means of controlling people, using drugs to control people did not speak so brilliantly. Therefore, there were definitely not many people who knew that the royal family had 3 tribulations scattered. But Zeng Qingfeng knew it. This guy really has some omniscient intentions, but Wu Meier is not only not worried, but also a little happy. The more capable Zeng Qingfeng is, the better. Anyway, he also craves his body, not afraid that he has a purpose, just afraid that people like him have no demands. Being attracted to her indicates that she has enough charm, and she has always been proud. In terms of identity, she is the empress of the Tang dynasty. In terms of strength, she became a master of the imperial realm at a young age. In terms of appearance, it is not an exaggeration to say that she is the most beautiful woman in the Tang dynasty. Zeng Qingfeng has a young and handsome appearance, and he is also so talented. Being attracted to her can be considered a talented woman. Perhaps with the help of such a husband, I can make the Tang dynasty more and more prosperous. But she didn't know that Zeng Qingfeng just wanted to make a one-time deal. In his heart, he thought. Anyway, everything will start over tomorrow. Upon hearing Wu Meier's question, Zeng Qingfeng rubbed his fingers and said, You forgot, I can do calculations. Okay. Wu Meier did not refute this time, because so far she has not found that Zeng Qingfeng is lying. She removed the barrier and raised her hand, causing the two palace maids to lose their breath as their bodies tilted. And Chao Gonggang was so scared that he kept kowtowing and begging for mercy, afraid that Wu Meier might even kill him. Wu Meier said in a serious tone. Chao Gonggang, I can release you 1 yard this time. Are you willing to redeem yourself? I am willing. Chao Gonggang is only seeking survival at this moment, how dare he say a word no? Very good. Wu Meier finished speaking and took out a black pill from her body, throwing it in front of Chao Gonggang. Take this pill and I'll give you the antidote every 3 days. As long as you put your heart and soul into my work, I won't let anything happen to you. If you have any ulterior motives, don't worry, Your Majesty. I was also coerced and tempted before, and I will only be loyal to you, Your Majesty, in the future. That's good. You have someone handle the body, and after you leave, don't show any signs. If there is any disturbance at the Prime Minister's place in the future, you must inform me as soon as possible. I obey your orders. Thank you for not killing the Emperor. Long live the Emperor. Long live the Emperor. Chao Gongong quickly withdrew and soon arranged for several eunuchs to drag out the bodies of the two palace maids. Until then, Zeng Qingfeng smiled and said, "So, Mayor, are you going to have sex with me now, or are you waiting for it to get dark?" After struggling for more than 3 months, Zeng Qingfeng finally managed to sleep to Wu Mayor with his strength. He was still a bit excited. After sleeping, he doesn't have to take responsibility. When he wakes up tomorrow, he can look for other stimuli. At this thought, he was still a little excited, but Wu Mayor's face turned red and she said somewhat awkwardly, "Isn't it too hasty for us to do this? What's going on? You're back on your word again. The agreed-upon ruler has no jokes. The agreed-upon Tang Empress dares to love and hate. It turns out they're all lies. Wait. Who lied to you?" Wu Mayor was provoked and immediately said in disbelief, "Let's go, follow me to the imperial study." Okay. Zeng Qingfeng has no intention of being polite. Even if he is killed, he will come back to life tomorrow. He is so scared. What he didn't expect was Wu Mayor arrived at the dormitory and actually began to undress. Zeng Qingfeng was not polite, and the two quickly began discussing major life events. Time flies to the next day. After waking up, Zeng Qingfeng habitually stretched lazily and prepared to get up from the dilapidated temple and change into a new outfit. Every morning for thousands of years, he has become accustomed to his tattered clothes. But soon he froze. His body was clean and he only realized when he looked around that he was still on Wu Mayor's bed in the palace, but Wu Mayor was not by his side, probably going to court. Looking back on last night's crazy night, Zeng Qingfeng felt a bit confused. Why didn't he wake up in a broken temple today? Ding, the system has been successfully loaded. After thousands of years, the system prompt sound that he almost forgot startled him to the point of being both inside and outside. The system surprisingly loaded successfully. Previously, after getting stuck at 99%, it prompted a system error, followed by his repetitive life day after day. He didn't even use suicide and would still wake up in the ruined temple the next day. But now, he hasn't woken up in the dilapidated temple, and the system also shows that the loading was successful. Have I come out of reincarnation? Zeng Qingfeng's mood was complex, and he didn't know whether to be happy or depressed for a moment. System. He tried to shout in his heart, and an interface immediately appeared in front of him. Character. Zeng Qingfeng. Strength. First level of enlightenment. Skills. Fuhu Fist, Kaishan Palm, Jingtao Sword Technique, Zixuan Heart Sutra Skills. Cooking, Master, Calligraphy, Master, Music, Master, Chess, Master. Looking at the interface of cultivation techniques and skills, he understood that he had plundered them from various cultivators over the years, from low to high. It can be said that apart from the 3 disciples in the Enlightenment realm, all cultivators in Chang'an City have learned their martial arts through various means. Even the mental and martial arts of the princess of the western regions were severely beaten and tricked out by him, so now the skills and martial arts column is densely packed. At this moment, his gaze fell on the task interface again, and only when he opened it with his mind did he realize that it was not as accessible as imagined, but rather completed. He carefully examined and immediately saw descriptions of completed. Main task. Chang'an City base has been completed. Obtain reward level +1 and body quenching pill *10. Main task. Infiltration into the Imperial City has been completed, earning a reward level of +1, calligraphy skill of +1, and a yellow level top. Grade Haitao Heart Classic. Main task. Obtaining Empress's favor has been completed and rewards have been obtained. He clicked on Claim Rewards for all 10 tasks in one breath. His strength has also risen directly from the 1st level of enlightenment to the 9th level of enlightenment. But after receiving a completed task at level +1 again, one cannot continue to improve their strength. Instead, the system prompts. Ding, data error, level upgrade failed, rewards have been exchanged for lottery times. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Stimulating Hidden Tasks. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Stimulating hidden tasks. After reaching the 9th level of enlightenment, Zeng Qingfeng couldn't continue to improve his strength, which made him a bit frustrated. However, the other various rewards still greatly benefited him, and he obtained more than 10 types of pills alone. What curious him the most was the number of lottery draws, so he looked at the system interface and indeed saw a lottery message. With a thought, a huge turntable appeared in front of me, and the number of draws also showed 1. Lottery. The turntable started quickly, getting faster, and finally slowed down to stop. Ding! Congratulations on winning the ultimate root bone and elevating your cultivation qualification from a mortal level lower level to a heavenly level higher level. As the system prompt ended, Zeng Qingfeng only felt that his body had undergone a transformation. Firstly, the skin is fairer, more radiant, and flawless, making any woman envious, jealous, or resentful. Another thing is that the body's perception of the surrounding spiritual energy has increased countless times, and the spiritual energy between heaven and earth automatically converges onto him. So this is the difference between good and bad cultivation qualifications. No wonder people with good qualifications can improve their strength in a shorter time. It turns out that their strength is improving when they don't practice. This promotion has achieved a transformative effect on him. He was already quite handsome, but now he exudes a burst of charm with every move he makes. Wearing his clothes and looking at himself in the bronze mirror, Zeng Qingfeng couldn't help but sigh. Oh, my damn charm, I'm almost falling in love with myself. 10,000 years. He finally walked out of the cycle and stopped repeating every day, wait. Just as he thought of this, Zeng Qingfeng's face changed. I only pushed Wu Meier last night. If it were like before, whether it was through force or deception, they wouldn't know when they put on their pants the next day. But this time it's different. Just thinking about what to do next, Wu Meier pushed the door open and walked in. Perhaps she had been nourished all night, and her face was rosy and radiant. Her gaze towards Zeng Qingfeng was momentarily taken aback, followed by a ripple of autumn waves. Husband, it seems that after getting married, not only do women become more agile, but even men can become more charming. Cough, cough. Zeng Qingfeng felt a bit embarrassed. He used to know that every day was a cycle of reincarnation, and no matter how shameless he was, he didn't even need to push his martial arts skills, so he didn't have to take responsibility. But now it's different. Wu Meier in front of her, whether she was forcefully pushed or deceived, has already slept many times. But this time there is no reincarnation of time. Damn the system. Can't we start from the moment we wake up from the broken temple? Zeng Qingfeng felt a bit depressed, but Wu Meier had already pressed into his arms and her tone had become gentle. Husband, I have found the hunchback Zhang you mentioned. I will personally visit him later, hoping that he can serve our royal family. Although I used to be the empress, I felt very lonely and helpless in the quiet of the night. Now that I have you, I suddenly feel like I have a backbone. You will help me well in the future, right? Zeng Qingfeng breathed the fragrance of Wu Meier's body, and felt the hot body in his arms, which made his mouth and tongue dry. Cough cough. Of course, you are my wife now, and I will definitely do my best to help you in the future. This statement was originally somewhat perfunctory, mainly because I don't know what to do now. But as soon as he finished speaking, he heard system prompts coming to his mind. Ding! Successfully activated hidden task. Assist the Empress. Task description. Assist Empress Wu Meier 100 times, each time completing can earn rich rewards and lucky draw opportunities, and completing all tasks can earn a super grand prize. Current progress. 0 out of 100. Upon hearing the system prompt, he was momentarily stunned, and then could only helplessly smile wryly. Is there no other choice? I originally wanted to find an excuse to run away, but now not only can't run away, but I also have to do my best to help Wu Meier. Wu Meier looked up at Zeng Qingfeng, her eyes seductive as silk, and her heart also grew more and more fond of this cheap husband. Husband, you're so kind. Of course, you are my wife. Who else can you be good to if you don't treat you well? Zeng Qingfeng let out a sigh in his heart, but he still pretended to say something. The Empress didn't know his thoughts and suddenly felt that she had devoted herself to the right person. Her heart became sweeter and she also loved Zeng Qingfeng even more. Husband, you are really amazing. Don't worry, I will be responsible for you in the future. Madam, as long as you are satisfied, it's good. Wu Meier put on her clothes and then looked at Zeng Qingfeng and asked softly. Husband, now that the Tang dynasty is worried about domestic and foreign troubles, do you have any good strategies? I dare not say a good strategy. The saying goes that in order to resist foreign aggression, we must first settle the internal situation. We must clean up corrupt officials and make the entire Tang dynasty solid, so as to deal with external enemies. My husband's words coincide with my thoughts, but where should we start? Wu Meier frowned. She didn't mean to clean up the officials first, but on the one hand, she didn't know that those officials were corrupt, and on the other hand, she was afraid that it would involve too much and the officials would rebel collectively. Zeng Qingfeng frowned and thought for a while before saying. These are not problems. I am very clear about which officials are corrupt. Let's investigate one by one. As long as each case is not too much involved, we can crack them one by one. His idea is very simple, he knows exactly how many things each official has committed. For hundreds of years, when he was idle and bored, he would arrest every official and torture them severely, coerce and entice them, and he would know everyone's secrets clearly. He certainly knows which cases can convict them without involving other officials. So as long as we investigate one by one, we can naturally catch everything that needs to be caught. At present, the most powerful figure in the court is the Prime Minister, and even the Marshal of Zhenbei is his own family. Moreover, the Prime Minister's mansion has an ancestor who understands the Tao, and his unwillingness to submit has become evident. In the endless cycle of reincarnation, he also learned that the Prime Minister had raised a group of dead soldiers, as well as hidden dragon robes and jade seals. Because I felt it had nothing to do with myself before, after tormenting the Prime Minister for a period of time, I lost interest in him. Of course, at the beginning, I didn't know that there were experts in the realm of enlightenment in Zai Xiangfu, and they were killed several times. It was not until later that a way was found to avoid the masters of the enlightenment realm that the Prime Minister could be captured alive and then subjected to severe torture. Apart from the Prime Minister, he never let go of many officials and wealthy merchants in the Tang dynasty. For hundreds of years, his only pleasure was to force these people to ask various secrets. If all are investigated, 90% of officials and businessmen will have to execute the 9 tribes. Wu Meier also agreed with Zeng Qingfeng's statement, but the specific operation made her difficult. Husband, what exactly should we do? I'll give you a list of charges first. Follow the instructions I've given you to arrest and interrogate people. If they want to reveal other cases, you should suppress them first. Let's start with the more important official positions and replace a group of real people first. But when it comes to catching a group of people, someone must make up for it. Who can trust it? Don't worry, madam. I will give you a substitute list. Some people are not even officials, they are just ordinary people in Chang'an City. You need to find a way to promote them. After Zeng Qingfeng finished speaking, he walked to the nearby desk and quickly started writing. Wu Meier looked at Zeng Qingfeng, who was writing fiercely, and suddenly felt that this husband was really a lucky star sent by heaven. I used to feel a lot of pressure before, but I didn't expect an omnipotent husband to fall from the sky. At this moment, Zeng Qingfeng's serious handwriting made her feel even more charming, and she unconsciously became a bit obsessed with reading. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. 7th Rank Alchemist. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 7th Rank Alchemist, Madam, it's written. 1 is the list of officials and their charges, and the other is the list of alternate officials. Have you reviewed madam? Ah. Oh. Wu Meier regained her senses and quickly took over the list written by Zeng Qingfeng. But just as I took a glance, I was immediately amazed and exclaimed. Husband, I didn't expect your writing skills to be so good. With just this calligraphy handwriting, even many calligraphers feel inferior. Of course, Zeng Qingfeng's calligraphy level is not impressive. Even if he studies a subject for 1,000 years, no matter how poor, he can still become a master level. But when he received the system task, his chess skills were upgraded from master level to master level, which made him understand that the level of master level is not yet the ceiling. Now praised by Wu Meier, he dare not be complacent, but humbly said. My level is nothing, I still need to improve in the future. This is true, but to Wu Meier, she felt that her husband was not only handsome and versatile, but also very low-key. The more Wu Meier discovered Zeng Qingfeng's strengths, the more she liked them. Looking back on the little moments they met yesterday, she only found it funny. This guy deliberately came to grab his attention by eating and drinking in front of him, and then started showing off his skills. It seems like I was already satisfied with myself from the beginning. Husband, you are truly humble. Your handwriting has already reached the level of a literary saint. Madam, I'm flattering you. You should take a closer look at the content. Zeng Qingfeng didn't want to continue, so he began to shift the topic. Wu Meier only began to carefully examine it, and after only looking at it, her face softened. How unreasonable. Your husband, are all the charges above true? She no longer doubted Zeng Qingfeng, but seeing the charges against these officials, she still felt incredulous. Holding the salary of the court, he actually took bribes, violated the law, oppressed the people, and even formed cliques for personal gain. It's truly a crime worthy of death. Zeng Qingfeng sighed and said. Where are you going? Your husband, the court is mostly infested with insects, and the entire Tang dynasty can be described as riddled with wounds and holes. Husband, you will help me, won't you? Wu Meier looked at the man in front of her, with a soft light in her eyes and a sweet heart, as if she had found her backbone. Zeng Qingfeng thought about hiding tasks in the system and said with great righteousness. Of course I will, you are my wife. How could I not help you? Husband, you are really a lucky star sent to me by heaven. As Wu Meier left the room, Zeng Qingfeng's face changed. Unexpectedly, his eternal repetition suddenly disappeared, and he was also bound to Wu Meier by the hidden task of the system. Since he has decided to help Wu Meier and complete the hidden task, he can only do his best. Firstly, it is necessary to visit the master of the Enlightenment realm in the palace, otherwise it would be difficult for him to intervene in any future affairs in the palace. Based on his previous understanding of this expert, this old man's attitude towards Wu Meier is not very caring. Apart from basic safety guarantees, Wu Meier is unable to mobilize and command him at all. But Zeng Qingfeng was confident in convincing him that after he broke through to the realm of enlightenment, he had also dealt with this old friend, so he had some understanding of him. He left the palace, and the two palace maids waiting outside quickly knelt and bowed. Farewell to the emperor. Get up everyone, I want to wander around the palace. Zeng Qingfeng waved his hand to send two palace maids away, and then prepared to walk towards the harem. A palace maid dared up and asked, Emperor, should we lead the way? No need, I'm very familiar with the palace. After Zeng Qingfeng finished speaking, he continued walking towards the imperial palace without looking back. In the repeated 10,000 years, he had at least 500 years to stay in the palace. Not only did he become familiar with all the terrain, but he also had a clear understanding of how many soldiers and eunuchs were present in each palace. Along the way, there were also soldiers guarding, but Zeng Qingfeng skillfully avoided all the soldiers to avoid trouble and quickly arrived in front of a secluded attic in the harem. There is no one guarding here, and inside is the top expert of the Tang dynasty imperial city, Ouyang Xiu. Ouyang Xiu lived for hundreds of years and served 3 emperors. It was thanks to the royal favor that he closed down in the imperial city. He will not appear unless there is a matter of life or death in the Tang dynasty or the current emperor. Upon arriving at the attic, Zeng Qingfeng immediately felt a divine sense locking him in. He calmly performed his boxing in front of the attic. Before he could finish his martial arts, a figure appeared in front of him in an instant. Ouyang Xiu. His appearance looked like he was only in his 60s, with a thin figure and a goatee. When he saw Zeng Qingfeng also stop his figure, his eyes were sharp and he asked. How could you know the Lifeng fist? It's my unique skill. Mr. Ouyang, you're so polite. I'm Zeng Qingfeng, the husband of Wu Meyer. I'm here to visit you today. Zeng Qingfeng clasped his fists and saluted, with a tone that was neither humble nor overbearing. Ouyang Xiu frowned and carefully looked at Zeng Qingfeng, his tone also somewhat puzzled. When did Meyer find her husband? How come I don't know? Last night. Zeng Qingfeng was also honest and didn't feel like a little white face. Ouyang Xiu felt that Zeng Qingfeng dared not deceive him, and there was no need to deceive him with such a thing, so he directly asked. It turns out to be the emperor. So, what orders do you have to come find me for? I dare not take my orders seriously. Currently, there are domestic and foreign troubles in the Tang dynasty. I hope Mr. Ouyang can fully assist Meyer. Humph. Upon hearing this, Ouyang Xiu snorted coldly and said. Thanks to the grace of the late emperor, I stayed in the imperial city of the Tang dynasty for hundreds of years and resolved several royal crises along the way. The debt owed to the royal family has long been repaid, and it is my utmost kindness to keep the last flame of the royal family alive. It is impossible for me to help the Tang dynasty conquer the east and west. Zeng Qingfeng had long understood the old man's temperament, so he calmly said. Ouyang, don't you always want a Xianbing spirit pill? How do you know? Ouyang Xiu was a bit excited. The Xianbing Lingdan could help him break through the realm, but he had been stuck in the 6th level of the Enlightenment realm for too long. It's just that we haven't collected enough materials yet. Even if we have enough, it's not easy to find alchemists. Zeng Qingfeng raised the corner of his mouth and calmly said. The materials of Xianbing Lingdan include Millennium Snow Lotus, Octagonal Xianbing Grass, Xianbing Flower, Ice Spirit Fruit, Cold Ice Grass, Ice Thorn Grass, Winter Thorn Grass, Ice Cover Grass, Star Blue, Cold Ice Arrow Grass, and Jishua Grass. As far as I know, you still lack Star Blue and Cold Ice Arrow Grass. Even if you collect them, you still need a 6th grade alchemist, right? How do you know? Ouyang Xiu was both surprised and afraid, and a powerful aura surged unconsciously from his body. Why is this emperor in front of him like a roundworm in his stomach? Zeng Qingfeng had anticipated his reaction and raised his hand to appease him. Don't be nervous, I can help you find Starry Blue and Cold Ice Arrow Grass. Give me a day. An alchemist. At this point, as soon as he raised his hand, a purple pill fire formed in his hand. Ouyang Xiu widened his eyes when he saw this elixir fire. 7th grade alchemist. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Not many things I don't know. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Not many things I don't know. The color of alchemy fire varies depending on the level of alchemist. 1st grade white, 2nd grade white-green, 3rd grade green, 4th grade blue-green, 5th grade blue, 6th grade blue-purple, 7th grade purple, 8th grade red-purple, 9th grade red, divine grade gold. At this time, Zeng Qingfeng's elixir was purple, so he naturally became a 7th grade alchemist. Xianbing Lingdan is just a 6th grade pill, so it's not a problem for him. As for his alchemy, it took hundreds of years to accumulate and achieve. The reason why I can't continue to improve is because I can't find any herbs that can be refined to a higher level in the entire Chang'an City, so I can't continue to practice and improve. Ouyang Xiu asked excitedly, can you really find Starry Blue and Cold Ice Arrow Grass? Don't worry, since I have praised Hai Cao, I naturally won't do anything uncertain. If I find medicinal herbs and help you refine the Xianbing spirit pill. Of course, Zeng Qingfeng is confident that he can still find these two medicinal herbs in Chang'an City. Coincidentally, he also knows who owns these two medicinal herbs. Ouyang Xiu put away his momentum and arched his hand at Zeng Qingfeng, saying, "If you can really find medicinal herbs and refine the Xianbing spirit pill, then I'll be at your command for 10 years. For a master in the realm of enlightenment, this is already a great promise. After all, changing which alchemist can dispatch a master in the realm of enlightenment for 10 years is a great bargain." He dared to make such a promise, believing that Zeng Qingfeng and Wu Meyer would not let him do anything excessive. Zeng Qingfeng snapped his fingers and said, "That's a deal. I'll go help you find the medicinal herbs first." "Wait." Ouyang Xiu called out to Zeng Qingfeng and asked with some confusion, "Emperor, I have one more thing that I don't know. How did you know how to use the strong wind fist?" "I learned it unexpectedly." Zeng Qingfeng casually replied, "I can't tell this old guy that after I was promoted to the realm of enlightenment, I fought with him every day for 10 years and stole what I learned." Watching his distant figure, Ouyang Xiu took a long time to say a sentence. This emperor is really unpredictable. Perhaps the Tang dynasty will prosper again. Zeng Qingfeng returned to the palace, where a eunuch waited at the door. Seeing him, he quickly handed over the tray in his hand and said, "Emperor, have you returned? Just now, the Empress ordered a servant to send you 2 sets of clothes to change and wash, as well as an identity token. From now on, you can have smooth access to the palace. Madam, you have a heart." Zeng Qingfeng took the clothes and token, feeling a little warm in his heart. "This cheap lady is quite considerate, why haven't you noticed it before?" Perhaps it was because no matter what method was used before, we could only spend one day together, so we didn't pay attention to it. He returned to the room and saw that Wu Meyer was not there. With a thought, he put the items into the system package and left the room to walk outside the palace. With his identity token, he did have a lot of convenience along the way and quickly walked to the entrance of the palace. Looking at the familiar city of Chang'an and the familiar yet unfamiliar people around him, Zeng Qingfeng felt some emotion. Before taking a few steps, I saw a pair of soldiers coming out of the palace. A soldier quickly posted a notice on the nearby bulletin board. He looked up and saw the imperial edict from the Empress, which roughly meant that the Empress was about to get married and the Emperor's name was Zeng Qingfeng. Many people also gathered around, and those who looked at the edict were curious about what kind of person Zeng Qingfeng was, and there was no big family surname Zeng in Chang'an City. Zeng Qingfeng himself could only rub his nose. "I didn't expect this Wu Meyer to be so formal. Once this edict is issued, even if he becomes famous in the Tang dynasty, how can he still attract girls in the future?" Cough and cough. He walked towards the largest medicinal herb shop in the city, where he was looking for one of the medicinal herbs. Star Blue Fuyun Herbal Medicine Store. This shop is not only located at a crossroads, but also has 2 floors and a small courtyard behind it. The owner, Ding Yi, is not only wealthy, but it is said that he has a good relationship with many officials in the court. Zeng Qingfeng walked into the store and was immediately welcomed by a spirited young man. "Sir, are you buying medicine or selling medicine?" "I'm looking for your homeowner Ding Yi." Zeng Qingfeng directly stated his purpose, which stunned the young man. Just seeing that his clothes were very luxurious and he looked very handsome, he inferred in his heart that he might be the young master of a wealthy family, so he cautiously asked. "Young master, do you know the master of the house? Can you tell me your name and taboo?" "Zeng Qingfeng. Just tell your homeowner that I have what he wants." The young man listened with no confidence in his heart, so he could only invite him to a nearby guest room to sit down and have tea, and then go out to inform the homeowner himself. Not long after, a short and chubby middle-aged man in his 40s with a mustache quickly walked in. When he saw Zeng Qingfeng, he couldn't help but frown slightly. I don't know this person. However, seeing Zeng Qingfeng's appearance and clothing, he still politely clasped his fists and said. Is this Mr. Zeng? Just heard my nephew say, you said there's something I want. Do you know what I want? Of course. Zeng Qingfeng put down his teacup, but sat still in the seat and said, Master Ding, aren't you looking for a 6th-grade alchemist to help you refine a tonic pill? Ding Yi's face changed when he heard this, and he quickly waved his hand to let the young man exit. Then he looked at Zeng Qingfeng and said. This matter is very confidential, how did you know? I not only know that you need to replenish the Yuan Dan, but also know that you need it because you have too many wives and concubines and your body has been emptied, right? Yu Ding Yi's face turned pale, and his gaze towards Zeng Qingfeng was somewhat hostile. Are you investigating me? No need. I don't know much about the entire Chang'an City. Zeng Qingfeng didn't want to continue explaining after finishing speaking, but shifted the topic and asked. In one sentence. Do you want an alchemist to help you refine the nourishing pill? Of course, but what are your requirements, young Master Zeng? Ding Yi is truly a businessman, and immediately understood that Zeng Qingfeng must have something else to ask for. Zeng Qingfeng stopped showing off and stood up, saying, I want the starry blue on your body. You even know that I have starry blue on me. He was really surprised this time. Star blue is not a particularly advanced medicinal herb, but it is very scarce. He accidentally obtained it many years ago and has been carefully keeping it with him, even his own wife is not aware of it. Zeng Qingfeng smiled slightly, still saying the same thing as before. I didn't say it, there aren't many things I don't know about the entire Chang'an City. Previously, in order to train the alchemist's skills, he had many interactions with Ding Yi, and of course, he knew his situation. Ding Yi's face kept changing, and now he only felt that Zeng Qingfeng in front of him was very terrifying. In front of him, I felt as if I was naked, with no secrets at all. He took a deep breath before asking. I can promise you, when will the alchemist come? Zeng Qingfeng gave a very bright smile and said. That alchemist is far and near in the sky. End of this chapter. You will soon know Chapter 8. You are listening at novelfull.audio. You will soon know Chapter 8. Ding Yi's shock grew even stronger at this moment. He carefully looked at Zeng Qingfeng for a while before asking. What do you mean? Are you a 6th-grade alchemist? Zeng Qingfeng shook his head and before Ding Yi could say anything, he spoke up. To be precise, I should be a 7th-grade alchemist. What? 7th grade. Ding Yi still couldn't believe it, but the next moment, Zeng Qingfeng had already released a purple pill fire. Really a 7th-grade alchemist. Young Master Zeng, it seems like you're only around 20, right? This is simply subverting his cognition, a 20-year-old, 7th-grade alchemist. If it were to spread, all the major forces would want to win him over. Many 5th-grade alchemists are getting old, and the entire Chang'an City is also a rare existence. Only some major forces have 5th-grade or above alchemists, right? I didn't expect to see a 7th-grade alchemist today. Still so young, he was well aware of the benefits of befriending such an alchemist, especially since he was in the business of medicinal herbs and elixirs. Ding Mansion is not without an alchemist, but the highest alchemist is only a 5th grade, and there is no guarantee of refining the Buyuan pill. He only has 2 batches of medicinal herbs and dare not take the risk of practicing his own alchemy. If successful, one's own alchemy can certainly be upgraded to 6th grade alchemy, but if unsuccessful, then these medicinal herbs will also be scrapped. Master Zeng, it turns out you are a 7th grade alchemist. You were really disrespectful just now. At this point, Ding Yi's attitude had greatly changed. Whether Zeng Qingfeng was a 7th grade alchemist or had omniscient abilities, he was worthy of being treated as a guest of honor. Zeng Qingfeng waved his hand and said. Stop talking nonsense, don't you have 2 ingredients for nourishing the Yuan pill on you? Prepare a pill furnace and a quiet room for me, and I will immediately refine the pill for you. Master Zeng came with me to the backyard. Ding Yi was overjoyed and didn't care how Zeng Qingfeng knew he had 2 documents on him. He quickly led Zeng Qingfeng to the backyard. Not long after, Zeng Qingfeng closed the door in a quiet room. He can be said to be familiar with the EP1-10. With these 2 materials on Ding Yi's body, he refined them no less than 1,000 times, from a success rate of 10% at the beginning to a success rate of 100% later. Even the level of elixirs has been elevated from ordinary to top grade, and they can even refine elixirs multiple times. Pills are usually refined and divided into lower grade, middle grade, and upper grade according to their quality. In addition, there is another type of pill that surpasses the top grade but does not exceed the grade level, which is the legendary perfect level pill. Perfect level pills not only have minimal side effects and stronger efficacy, but also have a faint aura. So perfect level pills cannot be counterfeited, and the price is more than 10 times that of high-quality pills. Refining the elixir is not easy. It's not as simple as a 7th grade alchemist refining a single grade pill. Perfect level elixirs not only require a deep understanding of alchemy techniques, elixir fire, and even medicinal herbs, but sometimes also require attention to the timing, location, and harmony of people. All of these are indispensable. Zeng Qingfeng looked at the elixir in his hand, but he was too familiar with it. I have been practicing alchemy at Ding Yi's herbal medicine store for the longest time before, and this alchemy stove has also been used the longest. But when it comes to refining 7th grade elixirs, the quality of this elixir furnace may not keep up. If it weren't for him repeating every day, he wouldn't have been able to successfully refine a furnace of pills. His alchemy level is stuck at level 7, which is also related to this furnace. Fortunately, what he needed to refine now was only the 6th grade pill, and he had already become familiar with it in his heart. So after adjusting his breath a little, his eyes froze. Brush the purple pill fire came out of hand, and the pill furnace in front of me was suspended in mid-air, constantly burning the pill furnace. In addition to being a 7th grade alchemist, he is also a master at the pinnacle of enlightenment, which can surpass other alchemists at the same level. One hand controls the Dan fire, while the other hand quickly adds medicinal herbs. With his ability, it is impossible for the 2 rounds of replenishing elemental pills to fail, but he does not have full confidence in refining the Dan Yun. Outside the door, Ding Yi walked back and forth nervously. Although Zeng Qingfeng was a 7th grade alchemist, the medicinal materials for the EP1-10 were limited, and he was also worried about failure. It wasn't until a scent of elixir emanated from the room that some excitement appeared on his face. After only 2 sticks of incense, the door opened. Ding Yi looked nervously at Zeng Qingfeng walking out and asked, "Master Zeng, came out so quickly, did the refining fail?" "Of course not." With a gesture of his hand, Zeng Qingfeng saw 5 crystal-clear nourishing pills in his palm. Ding Yi looked at the pill, his pupils couldn't help but shrink and said, "Top-grade nourishing pill. You can still refine 5 pills in one furnace. Your alchemy level, Master Zeng, really broadens my horizons." After he finished speaking, he happily went to get the pill, but Zeng Qingfeng grabbed it and withdrew his hand. "Master Ding, have you forgotten something?" "Cough, I'm sorry, I'm too excited." Ding Yi quickly took out a small jade box from the storage ring. Zeng Qingfeng knew at a glance that it was the one containing the star blue, so he held it in his hand and with a thought, put it in the system package. He handed the pill to Ding Yi and looked at his cautious appearance, which made him feel amused. He was still muttering to himself. "I'm glad to hear that. Brother has successfully refined 2 batches, each batch containing more than 10 pieces. There is also 1 batch that is perfect." Of course, Ding Yi was not willing to give him the perfect level elixir. He was very satisfied to be able to take out 5 top-quality nourishing pills. Ding Yi took out a small jade bottle, carefully collected the EP1-10, and then swallowed one on the spot. Soon, his face turned red and his vitality quickly recovered. Master Zeng, stay and have a meal. No need, you'd better hurry back and find your wife and concubines to deal with it. However, pay attention to moderation, otherwise no matter how much EP1-10 you have, you won't be able to get it back. Zeng Qingfeng glanced intentionally or unintentionally at Ding Yi, with a teasing smile on his lips. Ding Yi's old face was a bit hot, so he could only bow slightly to prevent himself from making a fool of himself. The effect of this pill is really immediate. His almost empty body not only quickly recovered, but also felt like he could fight for days and nights. But the person in front of him is a 7th-grade alchemist. If Zeng Qingfeng were to leave like this, he would have been living in the mall for so long in vain. Master Zeng, if you have any further needs, feel free to speak up. As long as I am satisfied, I will not refuse. Please let me know how to find you in the future, and I will visit you when I have time. How about you give me the elixir just now? Zeng Qingfeng was not polite either. He used to repeat it every day, and any treasure was like a floating cloud to him. But now there is a body full of alchemy skills, but not enough medicinal herbs and a suitable alchemy furnace. Ding Yi was slightly taken aback, but soon nodded and said. Since Master Zeng likes it, let's take it. But where should I visit you in the future if I want to find you? Zeng Qingfeng returned to his room and put away the alchemy stove. After coming out again, he said calmly. Just remember my name. Zeng Qingfeng. I believe you will soon know who I am. After he finished speaking, he walked towards the front store, leaving Ding Yi in a daze. That's right. How could such an alchemist be from an unknown place? Hey. No, I have to go back and find my dozen or so concubines. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Don't you feel Chu Kai? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Don't you feel Chu Kai? After leaving the pharmacy, Zeng Qingfeng walked towards another destination. To the northwest of Chang'an City, it is located in a remote area where many ordinary people live. Underneath a big tree in a small square, several elderly people are playing chess. Zeng Qingfeng walked up to a few people, glanced a few times, and then pointed at the chessboard. This action certainly caused dissatisfaction among several old men, who criticized him one after another. The so-called true gentleman who watches chess without saying a word. This guy is simply lacking in vision. Zeng Qingfeng just smiled and looked at an elderly man with white beard, saying. How about this? Let's move on to the next round. If I lose, I can give you 1,000 taels of gold. If you lose, I'll take something from you. How about that? The old man with white beard didn't have a good impression of Zeng Qingfeng and didn't think he would lose. When he heard his bet, he happily said. Okay, I'll bet you. I want to see what qualifications you have to guide us. The reason why there is no doubt that Zeng Qingfeng can take out 1,000 taels of gold is because his attire is either rich or expensive. Come on. Zeng Qingfeng was amused in his heart. The old man in front of him was named Chang'an City, and his chess skills were very impressive. For 20 years, he had to play chess with this old guy every day. From the beginning without any fighting ability, to later having contact, and then to Chang'an City without any fighting ability. It can be said that Zeng Qingfeng's chess skills were largely developed by the elderly in front of him. And this old man's identity is also interesting, maybe he can use it later. His purpose in looking for Chang'an City today is just to get what he has on him. Cold ice arrow grass. The chess game began soon, and Zeng Qingfeng confidently said. Mr. Chang, you go ahead. Humph, you're quite confident. Chang'an City was a bit angry. When playing chess here, he always let others take the lead, and some even gave up a few pieces. But as soon as Zeng Qingfeng arrived, he let him take the initiative, which seemed somewhat arrogant to him. Hee, don't be embarrassed, Mr. Chang. If it's really not possible, I'll let you 3 more sons. How unreasonable. Chang Rong was so angry that his beard flew up. He gritted his teeth and said, "Okay, I'll do it first." After he finished speaking, he quickly dropped a sun. Without hesitation, Zeng Qingfeng followed and lost a sun, and the two of them soon came and went. The people around wanted to see when Zeng Qingfeng would lose, but they were all surprised as they looked at his expression. And Chang Rongsheng's speed also slowed down, and gradually a cold sweat broke out on his forehead. The onlookers also saw that Zeng Qingfeng was not just bragging, he had real skills. Chang Rongsheng's face gradually became solemn, and he had to ponder for a long time every step. However, Zeng Qingfeng still did not pause. As long as he finished, he would keep up. After 2 sticks of incense, Chang Rongsheng said with a dry throat, "I lost." The onlookers were not as skilled in chess as the other two, and some people asked in confusion. "Old Chang, you haven't finished yet. Why did you lose?" "Yeah, keep going, this kid may not be able to beat you. There's still a chance, isn't there?" Chang Rongsheng's face turned red, and after a while, he stood up and said to Zeng Qingfeng, "Your chess skills are truly the only I have ever seen in my life. I have always been proud, thinking that my chess skills are invincible in the world. It is a great blessing to meet you today. Mr. Chang praised me too much, I'm just lucky." Zeng Qingfeng humbly said a sentence before continuing to ask, "Mr. Chang, do you need to win 2 out of 3 games? With your chess skills, the next 10 times will have the same ending." Chang Rongsheng said with some bitterness, then continued. "Since I have already given up, I naturally won't default. What do you want from Chang?" "It's easy to say." Zeng Qingfeng's lips twitched slightly, passing a sentence to Chang Rongsheng. Upon hearing this, Chang Rongsheng's face changed and he soon smiled bitterly again. "I didn't expect that not only is your chess skill superb, but your strength is also unfathomable, and you can even know that I have such a thing on me. It's just that. Please come with me to my home and sit for a while." After he finished speaking, he walked out of the crowd, and when the onlookers saw the two of them leave, they immediately looked at their unfinished chess game. At their level, it's impossible to see where Chang Rongsheng lost, why he gave up so quickly. Chang Rongsheng led Zeng Qingfeng to the entrance of a somewhat dilapidated small tiled house, then turned around and said, "You are so young, not only do you have extraordinary strength, but your chess skills are also unparalleled in the world. You are truly a dragon and phoenix among people. What Chang cannot understand the most is that you know that I have cold ice arrow grass on me. What identity do you have? Mr. Chang doesn't need to panic. I, Zeng Qingfeng, currently hold the position of Empress Dowager." "What? Emperor?" Chang Rongsheng's face changed and he then smiled bitterly. "Empress, with a husband like you, why worry about the downfall of the Tang dynasty? Emperor, wait a moment, I will bring you the cold ice arrow grass." After he finished speaking, he walked into the room and soon came out, holding a long box in his hand and handing it to Zeng Qingfeng, who immediately received the system package. "Emperor, this is what you want. Originally, I invited you to my home to continue seeking advice for a few more rounds. But since you have a noble status, the common people dare not bother you anymore. What did Mr. Chang say? I'm here, won't you treat me to a cup of tea? It's rare to encounter someone who can play chess with me. Why don't you continue to kill a few rounds while drinking with me?" Upon hearing Zeng Qingfeng's words and looking at his sincere expression, Chang Rongsheng exclaimed with some excitement. "If the emperor doesn't mind, of course the common people are willing to sweep the bed and welcome each other. What do you dislike? I know you have a precious jar of old wine, do you want to take it out to satisfy my craving?" Zeng Qingfeng laughed heartily, and these words made Chang Rongsheng smile bitterly again. "Emperor knows everything as if it were divine. It seems that I have no secrets in front of you. Please come inside, Emperor. I will go and dig out my precious old wine." Okay, Lao Chang, you've spent it. There are no outsiders here, so don't call yourself a commoner. Just call me Zeng Gongzi. Alright then. Please come inside, Master Zeng. I'll go and come. Zeng Qingfeng waved his hand and walked into the room by himself. Chang Rongsheng's room is very familiar to him. He used to come almost every day to hone his chess skills. Previously, he kept repeating it every day to develop a habit. No matter how well he talked to someone, once he decided to change his target, he would use some special means to force him to ask for any secrets. This approach also made him realize that many people who are good at disguising themselves, after being coerced and tortured by him, would confess after urinating in bed several times when they were young. Not long after staying in the room, Chang Rongsheng walked in holding a rustic wine jar. Seeing Zeng Qingfeng sitting at a wooden table and pouring himself a cup of tea, Chang Rongsheng felt that this emperor really had no heirs. He placed the wine on the table and then opened the seal with a pop sound, saying, "Emperor, you have come with great pleasure today. The old and mediocre people are really flattered. The only one who can handle it is this jar of old wine. Today, let's have a toast with Emperor." It's easy to say. Zeng Qingfeng nodded slightly. After Chang Rongsheng took out 2 wine bowls and filled them, he smelled the aroma of the wine and didn't rush to drink it. Instead, he casually said, "Old Chang, don't you feel like you're a genius staying here? Ask for recommendation and collection. Whether you can sign a contract depends on whether you can give awesome." End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Completing a task. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Completing a task. Upon hearing Zeng Qingfeng's inquiry, Chang Rongsheng shook his hand with the wine jar and was stunned for a while. After a long time, he placed the wine jar on the table and clasped his fists with a bitter smile, saying to Zeng Qingfeng, "Emperor, it seems that I really have no secrets in front of you. Don't worry, Lao Chang. I have no ill intentions towards you. My identity is Empress Dowager, and no matter what, I still want to help my wife. Therefore, I sincerely invite you to join the court today. How about serving the Tang dynasty?" Zeng Qingfeng knows Chang Rongsheng very well, and he used to chat with him a lot when he was honing his chess skills. Later on, it was through coercion that many secrets were revealing that Chang Rongsheng was not an ordinary person. He learned art in the deep mountains from a young age, not only achieving the level of reverence in strength, but also researching the formation of troops and the overall situation of the world. If we can win over, being a marshal is more than enough. However, Chang Rongsheng had once been honest with him. When he was young, he wanted to volunteer and show off his ambitions. But at that time, the court was corrupt, the emperor was incompetent, eunuchs were meddling in politics, and outsiders were eyeing him. He was rejected several times and did not even see the emperor's face. Later, when the previous emperor of the Tang dynasty was killed by someone, he also lost faith in the Tang dynasty. Afterwards, he spent his days wandering among the people, playing chess and making a living with others every day. Although he later learned that Empress Wu Meier had the belief in restructuring the Tang dynasty, he had no confidence in this young girl at all. But today I met Wu Meier's husband Zeng Qingfeng. This mysterious and powerful man gave him new confidence in the Tang dynasty and Wu Meier. Previously, if Zeng Qingfeng didn't deliver a message to him outside, he would only treat him as an ordinary person without cultivation. Now that Zeng Qingfeng has thrown an olive branch, he is indeed somewhat moved, but there are still some concerns in his heart. "Emperor, although I don't understand how you know about my situation, on the one hand, I am already old, and on the other hand, I am just a commoner with no foundation in the court. Even if you and the Empress are entrusted with important tasks, it will be difficult for them to obey the people. You don't have to worry about these." Zeng Qingfeng smiled, not explicitly refusing, but actually agreeing. It is normal for him to have some concerns, and his overthinking, Zeng Qingfeng, is also aware that he wants to test whether he will arrange a casual job or take a seat when entering the court. Old Chang, I am very clear about your level, and I have no doubt about your character and loyalty to the Tang dynasty. Currently, the Tang dynasty is indeed facing internal and external troubles, so it is even more necessary for talents like you to join. If you are willing to serve the Tang dynasty, I can ask my wife to appoint you as a marshal. Marshal. Chang Rongsheng's eyes widened, and he didn't expect Zeng Qingfeng to have such courage and trust in him. Directly controlling military power, or even being a marshal, will the emperor not worry about rebellion or insufficient abilities? Of course, Zeng Qingfeng wouldn't worry anymore. When Chang Rongsheng was asked about the secret by him before, he sighed. Poor me, I have all my abilities, but I haven't been able to show my skills and fight for the southern and northern dynasties of the Tang dynasty. I have been trained by my mentor. He nodded and picked up his wine bowl, saying to Chang Rongsheng. All men, do you agree to a single word? If you agree, you'll drink this glass of wine and follow me back to the palace. I agreed. Chang Rongsheng also picked up his wine bowl, and his once extinguished ambition rose again. He confidently said. Emperor, in the future, my fate belongs to the Tang dynasty, and even more so to you and the Empress. Hurry up. Do it. Zeng Qingfeng drank the wine in one gulp and then said with a satisfied smack. If you're happy today, I'll accompany you in a few more rounds. Emperor, don't you need to go back to the palace early to report? Are you in a hurry for a while? Bring the chessboard and don't leave any ink marks. Zeng Qingfeng waved his hand and placed the wine jar and bowl on the edge of the table, leaving a large space. Chang Rongsheng was extremely moved in his heart, feeling that the emperor's style of behavior was very appealing to him. If it weren't for the significant difference in age and status between the two, he would have sworn brothers for everything he said. Emperor, wait a moment, I'll go get it now. He quickly brought the chessboard from the side and set it up. The two of them temporarily forgot their identities and time, and became addicted to the game together. In the blink of an eye, it was already afternoon. As it was getting late, Chang Rongsheng took the initiative to say. I lost again. Emperor's chess skills may only be comparable to those of his mentor. If there is a chance, I would like to recommend my mentor to you to meet. Let's go to the palace first, I can't keep delaying Emperor's time. It's good to have the opportunity to meet your mentor. Let's have a sparring in the future when we have time. Please tidy up a bit and let's go. Emperor, I don't have much to tidy up. Just lead the way. At this moment, Chang Rongsheng wished he could immediately go to the front line and bravely kill the enemy to repay Zeng Qingfeng's support. The two of them quickly left the house. Before leaving, Chang Rongsheng turned back and took a deep look at the house where he had lived for decades. Then, without looking back, he followed Zeng Qingfeng towards the palace. Imperial Palace. Wu Meier was anxiously walking back and forth when a eunuch hurried over. Before she could speak, she scolded. Have you not found the emperor yet? What do you make for food? Empress, calm down. The emperor has already returned. The eunuch was somewhat trembling, but he quickly spoke out the news that Wu Meier wanted to hear. Sure enough, Wu Meier's expression lit up and she immediately asked. Really? Hurry up and ask the emperor to go back to his palace. If he goes out for so long without saying a word, I will be tough. Forget it, I'll go pick him up and lead the way. Ah. The eunuch quickly led the way, but before taking a few steps, he saw Zeng Qingfeng leading an elderly man with white hair and beard over. Madam, have you eaten yet? Zeng Qingfeng saw Wu Meier and immediately greeted her with a smile. Wu Meier's expression lit up with joy, but the next moment she stiffened her face and said. Humph. Do you still know when you're back? I thought you ran away. You still care if I eat or not, and you won't feel sorry if I starve to death. With her strength, she will not eat, drink, or starve for 10.5 days. Zeng Qingfeng knew of course that this was a woman's angry words, so he walked over to Wu Meier with a smile and grabbed her waist in front of the eunuch and Chang Rongsheng, saying, "What did madam say? You're my whole world, where else can I go? Besides, if you're hungry and thin, I'll be heartbroken." These love words have been spoken countless times in these 10,000 years, and he can be said to have spoken them out loud. Wu Meier's face instantly turned cloudy and clear, and Xia Fei's cheeks said with a hint of shyness, "Husband, you're really good at talking. What do you mean? The whole world is watching, and you're not ashamed. By the way, who is this with you?" Chang Rongsheng was choking on their dog food and felt uncomfortable. Upon hearing this, he quickly bowed and clasped his fists, saying, "Grassroots always prosper, pay respects to the Empress. Free gift." Wu Meier waved her hand and then looked at Zeng Qingfeng, her beautiful eyes full of doubts. Zeng Qingfeng leaned in her ear and briefly and quickly introduced Chang Rongsheng's story. After listening, Wu Meier opened her eyes wide and looked at her husband. Directly confer the title of Marshal. This, she feels like it's too risky, after all, she doesn't know anything about Chang Rongsheng. Zeng Qingfeng squeezed his eyes and said, "Madam, do you believe in being a husband?" "I believe it. Perhaps women in love have zero IQ, or perhaps Wu Meier trusts Zeng Qingfeng too much." She nodded and then turned to Chang Rongsheng, saying, "Since my husband admires you so highly, I will appoint you as the Marshal of Zhenbei University, and it will be announced by the court tomorrow. Thank you very much to the Empress and Empress for your kindness." Chang Rongsheng immediately knelt down to express gratitude, while Zeng Qingfeng heard a system prompt sound. Ding, successfully completed the hidden task to assist the Empress, once, current progress of 1 out of 100, reward distribution in progress, seeking collection, seeking recommendations, and wishing everyone a happy new year. In the new year, everything goes smoothly, income doubles, love is not yet full, and wealth is abundant. End of this chapter.